My name is Ernesto Borges, and I'm an attorney. I happen to be one of the original panelists on America's Heroes Group. I've been an attorney for some 39 years. I have a law firm called Billbusters. We advertise under that name of Billbusters. Actually, the law firm is Borges and WU. I being Ernesto Borges, my partner being Zhao Ming Wu. And we've been in business for quite a long time. I've been practicing law for about 39 years. Actually, it will be 40 years this upcoming May. And we do a lot of different types of cases. We handle different areas of the law. We handle a lot of bankruptcy, though, and that's why we use the name Billbusters when we're advertising. And after COVID, a lot of people were suffering. There were a lot of people suffering prior to COVID, but after COVID, people weren't working. People weren't making any money. Inflation is high. Groceries are higher. Gasoline is higher. There's a lot of expenses that people have that we've always had, but it seems like as if they're a little bit higher than they used to be. A lot of people end up having to file bankruptcy. I've always been into helping people from my years in the Army. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was a combat veteran in Vietnam. Helped a lot of people over there, recipient of Purple Heart, 2 Brown Stars, and I was always putting my life out a lot to help people. And now I'm helping people in a different way with the bankruptcy. So let me tell you a little bit about bankruptcy in case you're having some financial woes right now. Before I get into the bankruptcy, I want to say that we do handle other areas of law. We do a lot of foreclosure defense, trying to help people to save their homes. We handle medical malpractice cases, personal injury cases, criminal law. I can refer you to someone. I used to practice criminal law, but I don't anymore. But a breach of contract, somebody suing you. And let's say sometimes you don't want to file bankruptcy, but you just want to argue your case and have your day in court. So we can also do that for you. So we've got 4 offices in Chicago. We've got one downtown in the Loop. Also, they're all in the Chicagoland area. We have one in Schaumburg, Riverside, on the south side of Chicago, to 107th and Western. So we make it convenient for you. And sometimes you just might want to meet us on online like we are now. And so we do Zoom meetings with people who might not want to come out. They can send a lot of their paperwork into our office, various means. If you can scan it and send it to us, we have portals that you can enter your information, even see how your case is going, progressing, and so forth. So we're kind of moving into the 21st century with a lot of the technology that we didn't have before. Lawyers file all their cases online. I go to court a lot, but I go to court, Zoom court. I throw on a shirt and a tie, and sometimes the judges don't even have, they throw a robe over their pajamas and they're holding court at home. So things are changing. We're trying to move along with today's technology. But we still have these debts. So we were one of the largest bankruptcy firms. Things changed a little bit. We used to be, I was the largest minority-owned bankruptcy firm in the country, and then got a few more competitors, but we're still one of the top firms, and we are certified by the bankruptcy certifying agencies and so forth. So you're really getting some very experienced attorneys. We have 5, 6 attorneys working for us, and you can come visit us at any time. Our phone number is 312-853-0200, 312-853-0200. And I'll give you that number again at the end of the show. We're going to be here for another 20 minutes or so, and I'll give that to you. So get a pen and paper, write it down. Billbusters. That's the easiest way to contact us. Billbusters.com. That's our website, billbusters.com. Just like it sounds, Bill, B-I-L-L, Busters, Busters.com. I came up with that when they were doing Ghostbusters, and I said, I'd love to come up with something kind of catchy. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit about Chapter 7 bankruptcy. They've got Chapter 7, Chapter 13, Chapter 11. three types of bankruptcies that people normally employ. Typically, Chapter 7 is the one that people think about. And excuse me for sweating. It's a little warm where I am right now. Um, but Chapter 7 is the one that people think about to just wipe out your debt, just wipe everything out so that you don't have to pay any of these debts, especially credit card debts. Because these people that these companies that own these credit cards, these banks and so forth, they charge you. See, I'm old enough that I can remember when interest rates were like 8%. That was it, 8% per annum. Then they went up to 12, then 16. Now they charge you 29, 30. Some are even higher than that. And it's very difficult to pay these debts when you have interest rates like this. You borrow a little bit of money and then you all of a sudden it's like doubled, tripled, especially with these payday loans and companies like that. Some states have outlawed payday loans. But let's say you have some debt. You've got, say, $20,000, $30,000 of, let's say credit card debt. And you're paying 30, 35, percent interest every year, and that ends up being quite a bit. You don't realize just how much. And a lot of these credit card companies want you to pay the least amount, the smallest amount, because they want to make their money on the interest. They don't want you to pay it off. They don't want you to make a big, downstroke when you get your bill. They put the minimum amount, and they want you to pay the minimum so that they can keep you on the hook year after year after year. And guess what? You haven't even lowered the principal. All you've done is pay interest, and you still owe the principal. And then they'll sue you for it. So, you can come to us. Sometimes we'll try to work it out. If bankruptcy isn't the right thing for you, we'll try to work out a payment plan for you so that you can just make payments on a monthly basis until you pay it off. Sometimes we can work that out so that you don't even have to pay any interest. We can enter into agreed orders with your creditor at times, or we just call them and say, "Look, we represent you, and we don't want to go to a debt consolidation company. We'd rather work through a lawyer or a law firm." Because a lot of these debt consolidation companies, you just don't want to deal with. You think you're getting a good deal, but you're not. And because they're taking money off the top, and let's say sometimes you have 10 creditors. What they'll do is pay one creditor till that creditor is paid off, but the other 9 are still coming after you. Or maybe they're not, but the interest is still accruing. And then they don't even have to agree to work with that debt consolidation company. They can say, "Look, we're going to sue the person. We're not going to be part of this or be the number 10th to get paid or the 7th to get paid." So you can come to us. We can file what's called a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and that's what's called a liquidation bankruptcy. That's the one that wipes the debt out. And it wipes out most types of debts. It can wipe out credit cards. It can wipe out a car loan. Let's say you just can't afford the car anymore. So you turn the car in. Now, if you don't pay them, and let's say you turn it in voluntarily, it's still a repo. It is going to show up on your credit as a repo. And let's say you just can't afford the car. You want to wipe that debt out. You want to wipe out $30,000 worth of credit card debt. Even taxes, if they're old IRS debt, we can wipe those out too. The more recent ones you're going to get stuck with. Student loans, people are always asking me about student loans. Sometimes you can wipe out student loans if you can show that it is, it's just not feasible. You just can't make it. I had a lady once, she worked in a little restaurant. She lived in a trailer with her mom and her 2 kids who were handicapped. And so she tried to go to, community school, better herself. She couldn't make it. She had to take care of the kids, take care of her mama, still work as a waitress in a little greasy spoon. So I was able to convince the court to give her a discharge and wipe out her student loan. So sometimes, depending upon what your circumstances are, we can even wipe out your student loan. So what they do, though, what happens is that when you file a bankruptcy, it creates what's called a bankruptcy estate. And there's someone who's in charge in that estate, and that person is called a trustee. And what they do, they review all of your finances, at your financial well-being, whether you have any money, whether you have a job, whether you have any assets. It's the trustee's job is to liquidate your assets. And if you have any, then use that money to pay off your debt. Let's say you got $100,000 worth of debt, and you got a diamond ring that's worth $5,000. Well, they may take your diamond ring from you and sell it, use the 5,000, give everybody a few bucks. That's liquidating. They liquidate. So when you think of liquidation, sometimes you go and you see these stores, liquidation sale, meaning they're just going to sell everything. So what the trustee does is he looks at your property, your assets, if you have any, and he would sell them, except certain things are protected to a certain degree. You're allowed to keep a little money, keep a couple of grand. But if you had 50,000 in the bank, he's going to take all of that. So you got to be careful what attorney you go to, because sometimes people file a bankruptcy having an asset. They might have a house with equity in it. You got a house, you could end up losing your house. So that's why you always need to come to an experienced bankruptcy attorney so he can make an assessment of how much you owe, how much you make, and what your assets are. And so let's say that you have no assets. I'm broke. I got nothing. I don't have a job. I don't have any money. I don't have any assets. I don't have a house. I don't have a car. I don't have any diamonds. Then that trustee will have a meeting. He'll ask you, it looks like you don't have anything here. And so he'll write his report and say, no assets. This is a no asset case. And he'll let the judge know there are no assets. There's nothing. This person doesn't have anything. So then the judge will enter an order discharging all of your debt, meaning wiping it out, discharging it. That's what you want to hear, discharge, not dismiss, discharge. And so your case would be discharged, meaning your debts are discharged or wiped out, unless it's a debt that can't be wiped out, like a student loan. Typically, a student loan is not dischargeable. Recent IRS debts, child support. You might be, maybe you committed a criminal act or something. Judge says, you got to give restitution to that person. You threw paint on their car and in your meanness. And so the guy had to have his car painted again. You might have to pay for that. So it would be like a criminal act. It's not an intentional tort or criminal act. Those things are not dischargeable in most instances. But other than that, you can wipe all these things out with a Chapter 7 and just be debt-free. And once we file your case, what's called an automatic stay goes into effect, so they can't call you anymore. Because some of these creditors will call you day and night, Sundays, after 9 o'clock at night, you're sleeping, wake you up in the morning, and just hassle you all day long. Once you file a bankruptcy, boom, stops. They're not allowed to call you anymore. Never. They can't call you. So it's this automatic stay, it's called, and it's just wonderful. It's protection, immediate protection. They can't garnish your wages. They can't do anything. Okay. They can go to a meeting. You're going to have one meeting. You meet with the trustee, and a creditor can come to that meeting if they want to. Typically, they don't. If you have a car, they might come to the meeting and say, look, you want to keep the car, or do you want to wipe out the debt? Sometimes people want to keep their cars, and you work out an arrangement with them. Or you want to keep your house, work out an arrangement. Assuming you don't have a lot of equity in your home. And a lot of people don't have equity. Some people are underwater with their homes. So we've done 100,000 bankruptcies, over 100,000, my firm, in the last 35 years, which maybe isn't a lot when you think about it, because I've been in business for a long time. Now, we have what's all called a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. That's a little different. Now, that one is a reorganization where you're trying to reorganize your debt so that, let's say, some people are in foreclosure. And let's say it was COVID and they got laid off. They couldn't make their payments on their home. They're in foreclosure. They're about to lose their home. They're $20,000 behind in their payments, their mortgage payments. So the mortgage company goes to court, files a foreclosure action. And if you can't pay them, then they're permitted to foreclose and take your home. Well, you can come to me. File a Chapter 13, which will allow you to pay that $20,000 over the next 60 months or 5 years. So you can pay it back through the trustee. You'll send the money to the trustee once a month. He will pay the mortgage company for you and say, look, you can't kick them out. You can't proceed with your foreclosure action. Your court action is over. Okay. And you got to get that creditor has to get paid through the trustee, and you pay the $20,000 back. You also have to stay current with your ongoing mortgage. But it saves a lot of homes. I've saved a lot of homes. Sometimes there'll be a sale and the house is up for sale, and I file a bankruptcy the day before the sale. Stop the sale. That's how powerful a bankruptcy can be. So we can do that, or you fall behind in your car payments, and they're trying to repo the car. I had a lady once, and she came to my office. She was out in the outside office, exterior office, and she was crying. I said, "What's wrong, ma'am?" She said, "Oh, Attorney Borges, I'm so upset." I said, "What's wrong?" She said, some guys came to my house last night. They were banging on my door, on my garage. They were trying to get in to get my car. I'm in foreclosure. They're garnishing my wages. And my son is down in Morehouse. He's trying to start his second year at college, but I owe them some money, and they won't let him register. So I said, well, come on into my office. So you know what I did? I spent the next 2 hours with her. I prepared all of her documents for her. We were able to get the mortgage company, get in touch with the mortgage company, let them know what we're doing, find out how much she owed, got in touch with the car finance company, got in touch, called down to Morehouse, talked to the registrar down there to find out how much she owed from the previous year so he could register for the upcoming year. And every problem that she had, the garnishment, contacted her payroll department. We filed a bankruptcy, sent the automatic stay. Remember, I was talking about that automatic stay, sent that to those creditors. They let her son register in school. He was sitting there in the bursar's office, registrar's office. They allowed him to register. They stopped the foreclosure action. Her car was protected. And it was just a beautiful thing. And so we were able to reorganize her debt, give her protection, and give her time to pay, the debts that she had. So we do that. And then sometimes you don't even have to pay the full amount back. Like, let's say she had credit cards. Now, those are called unsecured creditors. They're not like a house or a car. Those are things that people can take back. The creditor can repossess the car, can foreclose on the house. But a credit card that maybe you went to Europe on it. Maybe you went to a nice restaurant, or you bought some clothes, or whatever you did with it. Well, they can't take that back. They can't take the trip back. They can't take the dinner that you had back, or the clothes that you bought, or the bed that you bought with the credit card. So those are called unsecured creditors. There's nothing, they don't have any security. They can't take back what you spent the money on. So you don't have to treat them as nicely. You can give them sometimes as little as 8% of what you owe them and wipe out 92%. That's what you can do in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And the trustee is not going to try to take your house or take your car. They don't liquidate. They just allow you to pay your debt over a period of time. So that is a very useful bankruptcy for saving your home, your car, your kid. They might not let them register. That's a case that, kind of solved a lot of problems. The garnishment, all of that stopped. So bankruptcy is something that's very, very useful. Now, there's some people that have businesses. I have a lady right now, and she had a shop, a little restaurant selling fish and chicken and ribs and so forth. And unfortunately, business went bad, and they weren't selling as much. She owed money to the suppliers, the people who provided her with the meat or the equipment and all of that. If you have a restaurant or something, you got a lot of vendors out here, people that are supplying you with things to keep you in business. Well, some people have bad times. Let's say COVID. A lot of restaurants went out of business because of COVID. So what I can do is file a Chapter 11 for them. And what a Chapter 11 does is it allows you to pay those debts off over a period of time. Just like a 13, but 13s are only for individuals, from people, for people. A 13s, you can't file a 13 for a business, is my point. Only people can file 13s, but a business can file a Chapter 11 to allow you to work out that debt, reorganize that debt, and stay in business so that you can continue operating. You can continue selling your food or what have you, whatever your business may be. And the Chapter will push those creditors that were hounding you, kind of put them to the side, keep them in abeyance so they can't close you down. Chapter 11s, Donald Trump filed many Chapter 11s. His casinos out there in Atlantic City, and people see where Trump filed bankruptcy. He filed bankruptcy. Well, normally he's filing a Chapter 11 bankruptcy so that he can keep the business. And then sometimes you'll convert that to a Chapter 7 and say, look, Trump's casino didn't make any money. So we tried the 11, didn't work. So now we're going to convert it to a Chapter 7 and just liquidate everything. Sell the roulette wheels, sell the tables, sell the dice. For those of you who shoot dice. And, those are things that you can do. So you have bankruptcy, that 3 kinds of bankruptcy that, depending on what your need is, come and see us at Bankruptcies. Come at Billbusters, and I started to name the firm Bankruptcies United, but I didn't. But Billbusters, come and see us, and our number is 312-853-0200, 312-853-0200, or just go to billbusters.com, billbusters.com, and ask for me. I'm attorney Ernesto Borges, or you can ask for my partner, Xiaoming Wing, or one of the other attorneys. We have a bunch of attorneys, and they're all very well versed in bankruptcy, and we can help you. If you just want to do it over the internet or call us, we can do it that way. Anyway, thanks for joining me here. I'm attorney Ernesto Borges of Billbusters, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Until then, enjoy your day, enjoy your week.